Aren't you supposed to be filming a video? Shh, I'm watching BTS. Hello world! Today we're diving into the fun and elusive world of fan remix videos. And like any other genre, this one comes with a lot of different names. Fan remix, fan vid, vidding, fan or fake music video, fan trailer, and none of those include all of the common titles that can also be found in this genre. So let's dive right in. It's hard to tell when the first instance of fan creation occurred. By some accounts, all artistic creation can be considered fan works. Shakespeare, for example, was heavily inspired by other poets like Marlowe or Chaucer, and so in some ways, we can see him as a fanboy riffing off of his favorite jams. In the history of movies, however, fan engagement was a little more calculated, since there wasn't enough film for everyone to record on in the early days. Instead, fans were encouraged to express their love through consuming fan magazines, which were a mix between press materials and gossip columns. Later on, advancements in home entertainment technology helped pave the way for fans to take more ownership over commercial media. Owning your own copy of Star Trek, for example, allowed you to re-edit the original show to fit your visions, and that was a big deal. By the 80s and 90s, academics were finding well-developed fan communities that were circulating creative works of all kinds, including edited cassettes, costumes, and zines, or homemade magazines. Then along came the internet, which meant different things to different fans. Many newcomers, for example, found the affordances of large platforms more accessible, while older, more close-knit communities found refuge in niche forums and websites. On YouTube, fan-posted videos represent one of the oldest genres, and it also represented YouTube's first lawsuit, a copyright strike from NBC Universal for an illegally uploaded version of SNL's Lazy Sunday sketch. Because of these copyright woes and other factors, many fan creators actively hid from attention, valuing their anonymity to avoid trouble. Additionally, the nature of fan videos was to elevate the thing that you loved and not your personal brand. This, along with the anonymity, bred a culture that was driven less by well-known channels as it was by the popularity of the original show's films or celebrities. Therefore, in fan remix videos, there's often a mismatch between the number of views on a video and the number of subscribers on the channel, and this poses unique dynamics and challenges for studying this genre. One such challenge is the difficulty in studying what was popular when. With genres that rely on a few popular channels, you can just track the popularity of the channels to see what the different stages were. But since fan videos don't have these centralized channels, and channel viewership goes up and down depending on the size of the fandom, I can't use my usual methods. I have tried other methods, like looking up the popularity of key search terms, but these search terms aren't standardized, and so I feel like I'm losing out on a lot of content by only focusing on these terms specifically. Not to mention the fact that there are a lot of people entering these spaces through the recommendation sidebar and not through searches. My theory is that all of the subgenres I'm about to cover existed in one form or another from the start of YouTube until now. If you look at videos from one of the subgenres, for example, the upload date will range from a decade ago to a few months ago. And so only for this video, I'm going to be abandoning the evolution part of my analysis and giving you guys the subgenres without consideration of a timeline. My sincerest apologies, this was a clickbait video. One of the most popular subgenres in fan remix is the vid, which in its simplest form is just films and TV shows heavily edited and set to music. Compared to the other subgenres, vids are more dramatic and are based on the emotional connection between the fan and the story. Vids often use a montage format with high contrast coloring and lots of fade transitions. And as always, it's a subgenre of many names. When I was a teen, I remember these being called tribute videos, but nowadays it seems like the best way to identify these videos is through how their titles are set up. Usually, vid titles start with the name or names of key characters, or multi-fandom to indicate a variety of films and shows included, followed by this straight line thingy, and then the name of the song used, a quote from the film or show, or a descriptive phrase emphasizing the theme of the video. Most of these videos focus on couples and romance, but there are distinct subgenres that focus on female empowerment, mental health, and more. Key terms like multi-female or sad multi-fandom get at these themes in the title. Take an 180-degree turn from the vid and you get the humor subgenre, which are compilation videos of what the fandom considers the funniest moments. The compilation format means that the videos are cut up into small moments. Some videos leave these moments as is, while others add a slew of different visual and audio effects that actually come from the traditions of YouTube poops and meme culture.
YouTube poops are videos that use other video content in new and remixed ways, creating a new product in the process. A product that is edited to be random, humorous, and most of all, bizarre.
YouTube poop standardized many of the audiovisual effects we commonly see today, including audio distortions like this,
Fathead father,
and visual distortions like these. Beyond these effects, humor videos also pull from a repertoire of commonly used songs, audio clips, and memes in order to make their videos funnier. And finally, we can't forget the excessive use of on-screen text, sometimes to highlight certain things in the video, sometimes to express the editor's thoughts. All of these techniques create a shared language and practice across fandoms, but more on this point later. Like vids, humor videos use common titles, except there are a lot of them, like very, very many. Ready? First, you got the title of the show or film or celebrity with the word humor in brackets. Then there are the videos of someone being something for a number of minutes straight. Then you have the moments that do something to my something. Then there's the straightforward moments I think about a lot or too much or every day. Then there's the absurdist name of something on crack or something crack. Then there's the moments without context. There's the something or some people as popular Vines, TikTok memes. And finally, there's the try not to laugh challenges, which sometimes come with specific instructions. Like the vid, fan trailers have been around for a long time. These trailers cut together clips from different places to make them seem like a coherent narrative. They rely on the stylistic conventions of trailers and show off the creators' editing skills by demonstrating their ability to mimic official content from studios. Fan edits also focus on editing skills, but unlike the fan trailer, fan edits are less stylistically conventional and often play more to their own rhythm and tune.
Where's the TARDIS? It's my home.
Research on fandoms highlight how fan communities foster mentorship and critique, which can build on the members' creative skills as time goes on. Fan edits are often the subject of this mentorship, since this subgenre is particularly focused on quality. It's especially important to give a shout out to anime music videos here, since AMVs are classic examples of high-quality fan edits born from community engagement as well as fan talent. It's notable to mention that fan edits seem to have a different meaning on TikTok and Instagram, where the style is a little more conventional and the quality is a little less cinematic. These videos use dynamic transitions, saturated color, and sparkles to emphasize the luxuriousness of a character or celebrity. Next comes the fan theory videos, which are often long video essays that dive into Easter eggs and hidden backstories in order to find a deeper appreciation of the media being consumed. I mentioned these types of videos briefly in my last video on FilmTube, but since those were focused on film and TV, I want to emphasize here that these theory videos can also exist for other types of transmedia franchises. My favorite example is analyses of the BTS universe, which is a story world built on albums, concerts, and music videos. Okay, Technically, reaction videos are their own genre, outside of fandoms and fan remix, but I just wanted to mention it here because many reaction channels are also fans of specific things, and technically they're repurposing media just like any of the other subgenres. The only difference being they're including their own face and reactions to the mix. Somewhere down the line, I'll probably give the reaction genre its own video, but for now, it's important to mention that for every unknowing reactor coming into a fandom new, there's also a fan reactor dedicating their channel to reacting everything that comes out of their franchise. Unlike many genres on YouTube, there's a long history of academic attention on fan remix videos, and so there's a lot to cover when it comes to theoretical significance. So to make it a little more digestible, I've broken it down to 3 key concepts: reading practices, archiving, and professionalization. At the most basic, the concept of reading practices refers to how you consume the text. Are you happily immersing yourself in it? Are you begrudgingly watching it because someone's making you or there's no other option? Are you focusing on every little detail so you get the backstory? Or are you just watching to quote-unquote turn your brain off? Cultural theorist Stuart Hall famously argued that media production and consumption follows an encoding-decoding model, in which the media producer encodes a message into the media text, and the media consumer decodes that message, but in a different context. It seems pretty obvious, but the theory has an interesting implication. It essentially says that the audience is free to make whatever meaning they like, regardless of what the intended meaning was. And while this could create a wild west of anything goes, researchers have been able to identify a couple of common practices. One common practice is the resistant reading, which actively reads against the intended meaning in order to find gaps or inadequacies and potentially fix them. This is particularly powerful for underrepresented audiences, who are often left out of mainstream media and therefore have to make their own meaning out of something originally not meant for them. Slash fiction is a classic example of this, as it pairs canonically heterosexual characters together in a homosexual relationship, which allows the story to become more friendly to LGBTQ+ identities. While slash is an old tradition, there's a newer expression of sexual and romantic desire that gives the audience more power. These are what I like to call the thirst video. Whereas slash still positions the fan as a third party watching the relationship unfold, these thirst videos bring fans into a direct relationship with the object of their fandom. Their desire is directly expressed in on-screen text, and at times there are also memes or onlookers within the frame that represent the fan's direct gaze. This assumes a power in looking. In 1973, film theorist Laura Mulvey famously argued that the camera had the ability to turn those being filmed into objects of desire for the audience. She argued that in our patriarchal society, it is often the woman who is subjected to the gaze and forced to be the object of the audience's viewing pleasure. In many thirst videos, however, this dynamic is turned around, since it is often male bodies on display.
In an article called, "Yes, There's Such Thing as a Female Gaze, but It's Not What You Think," Stephanie Forster explains how the female gaze isn't just eroticizing men. She states, "The female gaze isn't about asserting female dominance on screen. And it doesn't mean that we therefore get to man-jectify men in reverse." Forster continues, "If the male gaze is all about what men see, then the female gaze is about making the audience feel what women see and experience."
If the female gaze is indeed about demonstrating how women feel, then Fan Remix does a top-notch job of this. As I mentioned before, one central goal of vidding is to extrapolate the emotional experience of viewing something and translating that into editing techniques and musical accompaniment. As for the thirst video, it too extrapolates this thirst for all to see and at times directly tries to persuade the viewer to join in on the thirst. The term bias wrecker refers to someone being so hot that you abandon your original favorite in the group, i.e. your bias, for this new person. And bias wrecking is often a major goal behind thirst videos. And so, not only does the thirst video superficially turn the tables on objectifying women by focusing on men, it also fulfills this other reading of the female gaze as the sharing of emotional experiences. Does this follow the definition of resistant reading as we initially set it up? Not exactly, since these moments were meant to be sexy originally. But I would argue that there is a higher order resistance here, one that allows the audience to alter traditional notions of what media should look like, to take the gaze head-on rather than voyeuristically, and to take up the means of production themselves so that they create a more collective reading practice. The circulation of these fan videos also help keep the memory of the film or show alive, and so on some level contributes to the preservation of the original work. When we think of preservation, we usually think of archives, which are typically places where original hard copies are stored. Occasionally, those who work at the archive bring out the copies for whatever reason, but otherwise the archive stays rather dormant. Media theorist Diana Taylor distinguishes this type of archive from what she calls a repertoire, which is less about documents and DVDs and more about practices being passed down through performance and living memory. Taylor's research focuses on theater performance, but I would argue that fan remixes, and particularly humor videos, create a repertoire through practice as well. Since these videos often use the same audio clips and songs, they create a repertoire of these sounds as common practice. In one project for class, I tried to map this repertoire out using a network visualization that connected the humor videos with the songs they used. And you can probably hear and see some of the songs you recognize if you're familiar with the genre or with meme culture in general. This visualization demonstrates just how common these songs are, but more importantly, it demonstrates how videos on YouTube can exist in networks with each other. Most network research occurs on platforms like Facebook and Twitter because it's easier to see how the accounts connect to each other. But on YouTube, we get to make more fascinating networks based on artistic inspiration and connections within content. When we think of YouTube, we think of the lone YouTube star. I mean, they're connected to their fans and to creators through collaborations, but we don't tend to see the entire platform as a social network. And I feel like we're missing out on interesting findings about how channels interact with each other to create things beyond themselves. Without recognizing that the production of YouTube videos occurs within complex networks of intertextual inspiration and collective artistic practice, we would never be able to understand how people interact with each other through their content, even though YouTube's central tenet of community emphasizes these social interactions. Mapping out the common acoustic sources of humor videos helps us recognize that YouTube is not just an archive, but a living, breathing repertoire, with many people using common practice to communicate not through the comment section or the community tab, but through the videos themselves. Part of being a thriving genre on YouTube is the creation of common monetization avenues, except fandoms, for the longest time, were strictly non-monetary places. They've traditionally operated on the gift economy, which meant that contributions to the fandom, whether that's mentoring others or managing online forums or creating videos and art, were done exclusively without financial gain. Sometimes fan creators would charge a little bit to break even, but beyond that, the goal was not to make money. And so this leaves fan creators with fewer options available. The most common way to make money on fan remix videos seem to be brand sponsorships, but very specific ones that directly relate to the fandom. K-pop fan videos, for example, will often promote K-pop merchandise or apps that allow fans to connect with each other. Oftentimes, these brand sponsorships come with affiliate links. And so in addition to an upfront fee for the sponsor mentioned in the video, the fan creators might also get a commission every time someone uses their link to shop. Following a sellout mentality, these types of brand deals get a lot of backlash in all genres, but it seems particularly negative within fandoms, since these deals can be seen not only as a cash grab, but a cash grab at the expense of beloved shows, films, and celebrities.
You make YouTube videos for your fans, but money should come in second.
The tradition of the gift economy is still important for a lot of fans, and so in general, monetization seems less common and more frowned upon here. And when it does happen, these deals often have to provide direct value to the fandom in question. Also, remember the mismatch between the number of views a channel gets and its number of followers? That also poses an obstacle for monetization, since brands care about returning subscribers and consistent viewership to make sure that the video they sponsor isn't a one-off failure. This narrows the pool of potential sponsors even more, making professionalization and monetization as a fan channel harder than in other genres. Beyond these deals, however, there was one other money-related thing I found that might give more skeptical audiences some hope. On occasion, fan videos can also contribute to fundraisers. For example, I found this multi-female vid contributing to the Trevor Project, a suicide prevention campaign for LGBTQ+ youth. As I've discussed before, fan vids have been a safe space for LGBTQ+ identities for a long time now, and so promoting this fundraiser on this type of video makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, this also shows how monetization can go beyond putting money into rich people's pockets, even though there's still a lot of that going on. Many creators do consider their monetization strategies extremely carefully and sometimes can contribute to worthy causes with the money they earn. For better or for worse, YouTube is a commercial space, and because of that, monetization will always be something worth talking about and not something to be rejected lightly. To summarize, today we covered the fan remix video and its many subgenres. We looked at the emotional potential of vids and how it helps people work through the struggles they have. We also looked at humor videos and how they create new artistic practices and repertoires. Finally, we considered the especially fraught nature of monetization in fandoms and how this leads to the creation of fandom-specific value. I hope you liked this video. If you're a fan of something, please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Did you agree with my analysis? Did you think I missed anything? Let me know. And if you're not a fan, send this to a fan you know and see if they agree with me. Finally, I wanted to give a huge thank you to Tiffany for mentioning me in her last video. Most of my subscriber base right now is because of her, and I'm just incredibly honored and thankful and grateful and all of the full words. I honestly don't know what to say. My channel went from 16 subscribers to now about 1,000, and it just blows my mind how many comments there are and how we get to kind of share in our knowledge. This is kind of the nature of research, honestly. You have a hunch, you put it out into the world, you talk about it with the people who know what's up, and you build off of each other's understanding. And this is especially a weird and wacky world we're in when it comes to YouTube and social media, and so I really appreciate you guys essentially helping me navigate this weird world, and hopefully we're on this journey together, and the more of us there are, the more interesting topics we can talk about and help each other decipher. I just cannot wait to go on this journey with all of you. And that's enough rambling for me, probably enough for the credit rolls to finish, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!